Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to move back to Fallout 4 to find out, can you beat Fallout 4 if every enemy is legendary? We're going to be playing on very hard difficulty, and that's the only restriction for this run. Straightforward, right? With all that being said, let's begin. I start off by making the most beautiful man you've ever seen. I then get interrupted by a man who definitely, totally, for sure doesn't know the bombs are dropping today. If you ask me, he's a Chinese spy that sent confirmation to China that the abomination known as my character was indeed real and something to fear. Spreading my skill points out, I then give my character the most accurate name I can, and after that, the tiny demon spawn starts yelling, so I must give it an offering of belly scratches and a spinny mobile. I change my mind. China didn't drop the bombs, this little shit did. After my son sets off the nukes, I run to the vault, or more accurately, chase the people running to the vault. Inside, I have a fast walk race with the scientist before getting in my totally not cryopod that is 100% only there for decontamination. I then obviously get froze before watching my wife get murdered, and then stealing a ring to sell later. On my way out, I grabbed a baton and started smashing roaches like a college sorority house. Double meaning in there for you close listeners. Although they were legendary, they all went down in a single swing. I even double checked to make sure I was on very hard difficulty. Anyway, I retrieve my Pip-Boy and leave the vault to return to the world above. Once back at my neighborhood, I immediately begin working on the entity known as the Corner. This is where I'll stash all unwanted legendaries throughout the run. I then retrieve the goodest boy in the whole world. Now I must make my way to the Museum of Freedom to rescue Preston Gravy from the Roaders. On my way up there, I make sure to grab the fusion core so I don't have to go back to get it later. I'm only using the power armor to get off the roof, as power armor is for humans and Icy Wiener is not human. Once the Deathclaw awakens like a 30-year-old in his mom's basement who didn't get his chicken nuggies, I immediately run to the building cowering in the corner like a wife in the 50s who didn't get her husband's lunch martini. There was no way I would stand a chance against the Deathclaw if I was out on the street with it. Eventually, I finish it off before looting all the bodies for legendaries before heading back inside the museum to talk with Preston. Once he's done talking, I go back outside to make my way to the Drumlin Diner to help Trudy with her pest problem. I then return to Sanctuary to talk with Preston, but not before adding my spoils to the corner. Once done, I place some beds down for everyone before taking the Lone Wanderer perk and then talking with Preston. With 10 Pines Bluff now in my sights, I sweep the houses in Sanctuary to ensure that there are no more bugs. I then begin walking to 10 Pines Bluff, and on the way, kill a Radstag Doe, which grants me another level. I then reach Thicket Excavations, where I stop to help Sully fix some pipes. After that's done, I arrive at 10 Pines, where I get the quest to take out the raiders at the Corvega plant. I then return to Sanctuary to add to the pile before fast traveling back to Trudy's so I can make my way to Corvega. Now is where I have to tell you that a lot of enemies, even though they're legendary, do not drop legendary items. I think this is something to do with my game and not the mod I'm using, as when I went to an area I had been before, the legendary items were now magically on the bodies. Also, you might catch legendary items just being removed from my inventory randomly for no reason. Gotta love Bethesda. Anyways, arriving at Corvega, I begin using my 2-shot laser musket to deal with the raiders and turrets outside. I'm just going to say this now, compared to my other challenges, this is by far the most difficult run I've done so far. I think this is due to the fact I chose Rifleman instead of Commando. With Commando, I could have just gotten spray and pray from Cricket and breezed through the run. That being said, most raiders are a one-shot in Corvega, but that's not going to last long. After dealing with Jared, I make my way outside where I'm almost immediately jumped by a pack of feral ghouls. After giving the good news to the settlers at 10 Pines Bluff, I head back to Sanctuary to add more legendaries to the corner before talking to Preston, who then sends me to Starlight Drive-In. If it's not obvious to you guys yet, I'm going to be siding with the Minutemen this run. I'm doing this because as far as I know, they have the fastest route to the end of the game. Anywho, after clearing the mole rats, I return to Preston, who then sends me to Oberlin Station. Of course, keeping with most Minutemen quests, they send me to a raider hideout halfway across the map. I mean, seriously, there is no way that the raiders there are in any way bothering them. On the way, I stop by Hangman's Alley to clear it out for later before continuing on to the Backstreet Apparel, but not before I get jumped by some super mutants when I leave Hangman's Alley. Once dealt with, I enter Backstreet Apparel and clear it out before making my way back to Oberlin Station, and then Preston, who gives me the quest to retake the castle. I add some more legendaries to the corner that I got from earlier quest before modifying my guns and then fast traveling to the closest location I have have to the castle. But when I get there, I immediately get the notification that Ten Pines Bluff is under attack. After helping them with the ghouls, I find an unfortunate casualty, that being Lucas Miller. Anyways, now that I can be uninterrupted, I make my way back to the castle. Once there, I tell Preston to just go in and fight them. Inside, the Mirelurks themselves are hard enough, let alone the Mirelurk Queen. Speaking of the Queen, much like the Deathclaw, there was no way I had a chance to beat it out in the open. So I used the castle inner wall to whittle. So I used the castle inner wall to hide and chip down its health until with the last shot, with my hunting rifle, I kill it. With that, I build some generators, power the radio, and finish clearing out the castle before once again returning to Sanctuary to add to the corner. I then finally make my way to Diamond City. After sitting through Piper's unrelenting Yap Fest, I make my way to Ellie and the detective agency to get Nick Valentine's location on my map. Once I enter, I begin the painful shit show that was rescuing Nick. This was undescribably bad this run. The Triggermen absolutely destroyed me with their submachine guns. Eventually though, I did take them out and rescue Nick Valentine before facing Skinny Malone. This was by no means easy. As you probably know from my previous challenge runs, that me in confined spaces with a lot of enemies don't mix. There's only Skinny, Darla, and 2 Triggermen, but Skinny is a literal tank on very hard. With that being said, I do eventually take them out. At this point, the corner was getting too big, so it evolved to the entity known as the Pile. I then fast travel to Diamond City to continue the main storyline. On the way to Kellogg's old house, I take a quick detour to solve the disappearance of Earl Sterling. I deal with Crocker before reporting back to Ellie, which grants me a level upon completion of the quest. After that, I fast travel back to Sanctuary to finally grab the skill book this far into the run. I used the book to increase my charisma skill. Why, you may ask? Well, I need to have either master level lockpick, complete a charisma check, or pickpocket the key from Mayor McDonough. Obviously, I'm not going to follow Dogmeat the whole way, as he takes a janky and long path. Instead, I fast travel to Grey Garden to take a more direct route straight to Fort Hagen. Inside, I put my laser musket to use, clearing the scents out. However, although I did put up a good fight, I did die here. A lot. The scents deal a lot of damage on very hard, and with me either having to kill them twice or deal enough damage to take them out with one shot, it was a hard fight. On top of that, if they had a legendary gun, they would swap to that over their Institute rifles. This meant I encountered way more poison guns and missile launchers than I would ever like to. But eventually, I did make my way through, making sure to grab the Fat Man from the armory to use on Kellogg. Even with the Fat Man, it took a couple tries to beat Kellogg. With him having an auto 10mm incendiary pistol, that didn't help my case either. With Kellogg dealt with, I make my way back to Diamond City to speak with Piper. After that, it's time to make the walk to Good Neighbor to meet Nick in the Memory Den. Before Dima's Memories mission was added with the Far Harbor DLC, the Memory Den quest was the worst quest in the entire game. After my walk through another man's brain, I leave Good Neighbor for the Glowing Sea. If you're wondering how I got past the Deathclaw outside Virgil's cave, well, I ran. There was no way in hell I was fighting that thing. After talking to him, he tells me that I must now go kill a Courser. Tracking his signal from the CIT ruins, I arrive at Green Tech Genetics. But, unfortunately for me, one of the gunners spawned with a missile launcher. Minus that one gunner, the rest were a breeze. Utilizing some jet, the Courser gets absolutely slammed. With the chip in hand, I make my journey to the Old North Church so I can get it decoded. But before I do, I have to go back to Sanctuary to grab some legendaries off the pile to sell for stim packs. While out, I also pick up some screws and other junk from Myrna to upgrade my weapons. Once I input the super secret code on the spinny wheel that is in no way even related to the name of their group, I'm granted entry, and they decode my Courser chip that they then take. So with a decoded frequency, I head back to Virgil and he gives me the plans for the teleporter. Next, I head back to Sanctuary where thankfully I have the necessary supplies to build it. So with the teleporter built, I make my way inside the Institute where I upload Sturgis' holotape before talking to my son. I then go and talk with the heads of the Institute like he asked. You may be asking why didn't I just kill Sean as soon as I met him, so I could get to the end faster. Well, I didn't know you needed to anger the Institute to side with the Minutemen. Pretty obvious in hindsight that I could have just killed him right away, but oh well. Anyways, after meeting the heads of the Institute, I teleport back to Sanctuary and give Sturgis back the holotape. Next, I make my way to the castle to meet Ronnie Shaw so I can get the artillery unlocked, as I believe that is a mandatory quest when siding with a Minuteman. Sarge is the hardest fight so far in this run, but eventually, using a wounding flamer I got off a Radroach, I melt his health bar down low enough and finally kill him. With that done, we can now build the artillery and get one step closer to blowing up the Institute. Now, after researching how to anger the Institute, I found out the best way is is to just kill Father. So with a little preparation, mainly just getting the elevator ready to go, I then quite literally John Wilkes Booth my own son. With a fully charged laser musket shot in the back of his head, I then jump off the balcony and run to the elevator. Once up to the relay, I teleported out of there and tell Preston it's time to take the fight to the Institute. But before that, I need to recruit more settlements to help us fight. Once done with that, I need to prepare for the assault on the castle. The first thing I get is the cryolator and some stim packs. I also put the pile of legendaries into a box as my game was lagging pretty bad by this point. Next, I pick up MacCready for some more support at the castle, as well as make my way to grab the broadsider. This was pretty much a complete waste of time, as I didn't use it a lot for defending the castle. Speaking about defending the castle, it goes a lot more smoothly the second time around, and I make quick work of the synths and coursers alike. Now it's time to infiltrate the Institute via the sewer tunnel. Once inside, I teleport Preston and the others in, and he gives me the fusion pulse charge. We work our way through the old robotics wing, taking out the synths along the way. Once inside the main Institute, I fight my way to Father's terminal so I can give the evacuation order. I then make my way to the reactor, taking out all the synths in there before placing the pulse charge on the reactor and making my way to the teleporter room to leave. It's there where I get soft locked. I can't talk to Sean, so I can't take him with me, so I can't leave. The Minutemen require you to take him out with you. With reloading saves and trying everything I could to get it to work, I eventually just had to use console commands to get the quest to progress. With that hiccup solved, I can now teleport outside, detonate the charge, blowing the Institute up, and proving yes, you can beat Fallout 4 if every enemy is legendary. This was a fun run for me to make, as I tend to like the much harder runs than the easy ones. If you like this video, leave a like, and while you're at it, consider subscribing, as it helps me out with my goal of reaching 100 subscribers. Leave a comment telling me what you thought about the run or what run you would like to see in the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.